What if there was a story so controversial, so mysterious, that it was left out of most Bibles? A story that speaks of powerful beings known as the Watchers, who were originally sent to observe and guide humanity. But these celestial beings did more than just watch. They shared forbidden knowledge with humans, changing the course of history forever. To understand this, we turn to an ancient text, the Book of Enoch. This book, preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, holds the answers to these questions. It tells the tale of the Watchers and the forbidden knowledge they passed down to humans. In the pages of this ancient narrative, we find a story of temptation, rebellion, and consequences that ripple through time. In the Book of Enoch, we are introduced to a group of celestial beings called the Watchers. These were powerful angels, originally sent by God to watch over humanity and guide them. Their role was to observe, to protect, and to ensure that humanity followed the path that God had set for them. But as time passed, something changed. The Watchers, who were supposed to remain distant and detached, made a decision that would alter the fate of humanity forever. Driven by a mix of desire and rebellion, a faction of these Watchers chose to leave their heavenly post and descend to earth. Led by one of their own, named Semyaza, they came with a plan that went against everything they were supposed to uphold. They descended to earth not just to observe, but to become part of the human world. They crossed the boundaries that God had established between the celestial and the earthly realms. The Watchers taught humans the art of metalworking, showing them how to make tools and weapons. They revealed the secrets of enchantments and magic, giving people the ability to manipulate the natural world in ways that were unnatural and dangerous. They also taught humans about the stars and astrology, revealing mysteries of the heavens that were meant to remain hidden. Each of these teachings might have seemed beneficial on the surface, but they came with a dark side. They gave humanity powers they were not ready to handle, leading to corruption, violence, and a departure from the path God had set for them. The Watchers, in their rebellion, not only defied God, but also set humanity on a course that would lead to chaos and destruction. One of the first and most impactful teachings the Watchers shared was metalworking and weapon making. Before this, humanity lived in simplicity, using basic tools for their daily needs. But with the Watchers' guidance, humans learned how to extract metal from the earth and shape it into powerful tools and weapons. What once was a peaceful existence turned into a world where war and violence became possible. The creation of weapons gave humans the ability to harm and dominate one another, leading to a rise in conflicts and bloodshed that had never been seen before. This knowledge, while seemingly advancing human society, brought with it destruction and death. The Watchers also introduced enchantments, magic, and the manipulation of nature. They taught humans how to harness the unseen forces of the world, opening doors to powers that were beyond human understanding. With these teachings, humans learned how to cast spells, perform rituals, and use magical charms to influence the world around them. This knowledge gave them the illusion of control over nature, and even the supernatural. However, this control came with a price. It led to a reliance on dark and mysterious forces, drawing people away from God and into a realm of deception and spiritual danger. Magic became a tool for power and manipulation, corrupting human hearts and societies. Another profound teaching the Watchers shared was the understanding of astrology and the secrets of the stars. They revealed to humanity the patterns and movements of celestial bodies, teaching them how to read the stars and predict events based on their positions. This knowledge gave people a sense of control over their destinies, allowing them to attempt to shape their future by interpreting the heavens. However, this practice turned people's trust away from God and placed it in the stars, leading to a culture where humans sought to control their fate rather than relying on divine guidance. This shift in focus created a disconnect between humanity and their Creator, replacing faith with an over-reliance on celestial phenomena. Each of these teachings, while seemingly beneficial, brought with them a dark side. The knowledge imparted by the Watchers gave humanity power that they were not ready to handle, leading to corruption, destruction, and a growing distance from God. The teachings of metalworking, magic, and astrology were not just advancements in knowledge. They were tools that introduced new ways for humanity to stray from the path of righteousness, leading to a world filled with violence, pride, and spiritual decay. The consequences of forbidden knowledge. The corruption of humanity began almost immediately after the Watchers imparted their secrets. The knowledge they shared was meant for beings with the wisdom and discipline to use it responsibly. But humans, in their limited understanding, were easily swayed by the allure of power. The ability to create weapons, practice magic, and read the stars gave humans a sense of control that they had never known before. However, this newfound control quickly led to pride and a sense of self-sufficiency, pushing them further away from reliance on God. In Genesis 6:5, we see a reflection of this moral decay. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. This verse captures the extent of humanity's fall into wickedness. The forbidden knowledge did not elevate humans to a higher state of being, as they might have hoped. Instead, it corrupted their hearts and minds, filling them with evil intentions and desires. The simplicity of their earlier lives was replaced by a constant pursuit of power and control. One of the most visible consequences of this corruption was the rise of violence and warfare. The knowledge of metalworking and weapon-making provided humanity with the means to wage war on an unprecedented scale. Tribes and families that once lived in harmony now saw each other as threats and competitors. Armed with swords, spears, and other weapons, humans began to fight for dominance, land, and resources. The earth, which had been created to be a place of peace and beauty, became a battlefield soaked with the blood of countless lives. The spread of violence was not just physical, but also spiritual. The use of magic and enchantments introduced new forms of manipulation and control, leading to deception and spiritual decay. Humanity, intoxicated by the power they now wielded, turned further away from the moral and spiritual guidance that God had intended for them. The world, once a reflection of divine order, descended into a state of chaos and destruction. These consequences illustrate that the forbidden knowledge given by the Watchers was not a gift but a curse. It led humanity down a path of corruption, violence, and spiritual darkness, separating them from God and each other. The story serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of seeking knowledge and power without the wisdom to use them righteously. Spiritual and moral decay. As humanity absorbed the forbidden knowledge from the Watchers, the spiritual and moral fabric of society began to unravel. The teachings that were supposed to empower people instead led them away from their dependence on God, plunging them into darkness and rebellion. One of the most corrupting aspects of this knowledge was the role of magic and enchantments. The Watchers introduced humans to mystical arts that allowed them to manipulate natural and supernatural forces. This knowledge, initially enticing, quickly led to widespread deception and a reliance on powers that were not meant for human use. People began to use enchantments for selfish gains, manipulating others and bending reality to their will. Instead of seeking God's wisdom and guidance, they placed their trust in spells and charms, distancing themselves from their Creator. Alongside magic, the Watchers also taught the dangers of astrology and cosmic manipulation. They revealed secrets of the stars, showing humans how to interpret celestial patterns and predict events. This newfound knowledge tempted people to place their faith in the movements of the heavens rather than in God. They began to believe they could control their destinies by reading the stars, turning to astrology as a source of power and guidance. This practice led to a form of idolatry, as humans elevated the creation above the Creator, relying on cosmic forces rather than divine providence. These teachings caused a significant shift from divine guidance to self-reliance. Humanity, now armed with knowledge they were never meant to possess, became increasingly arrogant and self-sufficient. The reliance on God for wisdom and protection diminished as people believed they could control their lives through the power of magic and astrology. This self-reliance led to spiritual decay, as humans drifted further from the values and commandments that God had established for their well-being. In their pursuit of power, humanity lost sight of the divine order, replacing humility and obedience with pride and rebellion. The The spiritual and moral decay that followed was a direct result of the forbidden knowledge, demonstrating the dangers of seeking power without the guidance of God. God's response to corruption. As the corruption spread across the earth, God observed the growing wickedness and moral decay among humanity. The spread of violence, sorcery, and self-reliance, fueled by the forbidden knowledge shared by the Watchers, led to a world where righteousness was overshadowed by evil. This profound departure from God's intended order could not continue unchecked. In response, God initiated the Great Flood, a divine reset designed to cleanse the earth of its corruption and restore balance. The flood was not just an act of judgment, but a necessary measure to halt the spread of sin and give humanity a fresh start. Through this act, God sought to eliminate the widespread wickedness and provide a path for renewal, where humanity could once again walk in alignment with His will. The role of the archangels in judgment was crucial during this time. God tasked archangels such as Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel with carrying out specific duties to execute His judgment on the fallen angels and the corrupted world. Michael was directed to bind the Watchers, confining them to darkness until the final judgment. Gabriel was tasked with purging the earth of the Nephilim, the offspring of the Watchers and human women. Each archangel played a part in ensuring that the divine decree was fulfilled, demonstrating God's authority over all beings, both celestial and terrestrial. Despite the widespread destruction, God's judgment was tempered with mercy. He chose to preserve Noah and his family as a righteous remnant. Noah, described as blameless and faithful in a world filled with corruption, found favor in God's eyes. By sparing Noah and his family, God ensured the continuation of humanity through a lineage that would honor Him. The preservation of Noah was a testament to God's grace and His desire to uphold righteousness, even amidst judgment. The Great Flood, therefore, stands as both a moment of judgment and a symbol of hope, marking the end of a corrupted era and the beginning of a renewed relationship between God and humanity. Lessons from the Watchers. The story of the Watchers and the forbidden knowledge they imparted to humanity offers a timeless warning about the dangers of seeking knowledge and power that go beyond what God intended for us. The Watchers' teachings, though seemingly beneficial, led to corruption, violence, and the downfall of humanity, illustrating that not all knowledge is meant to be pursued. Trusting in God emerges as a central lesson from the story of the Watchers. God set boundaries for humanity, not as a limitation, but as protection. By trusting in God's wisdom and guidance, humanity could have avoided the corruption brought on by the forbidden knowledge. The Watchers' story emphasizes the importance of reliance on God's provision and understanding, rather than seeking control over nature and the spiritual realm through forbidden means. Proverbs 3:5-6 teaches us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Finally, the narrative underscores the consequences of pride and ambition. The Watchers, in their ambition to share divine knowledge and in their defiance of God's order, became agents of destruction. Their pride led them to believe they could act outside of God's will, without repercussions. Similarly, humanity, intoxicated by the power that came from the forbidden knowledge, fell into pride, believing they could live independently of God's guidance. This arrogance led to widespread moral decay and ultimately necessitated God's judgment through the Great Flood. The story warns against the dangers of pride and the need for humility, reminding us that wisdom and fulfillment come from God, not from our ambition or self-reliance. Conclusion. The imprisonment of the Watchers serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of defying God's divine order. These celestial beings, once tasked with guiding humanity, fell into corruption when they chose to impart forbidden knowledge. Their punishment, being bound and cast into darkness, highlights the seriousness of their actions and the far-reaching impact of their rebellion. This imprisonment also symbolizes the ultimate accountability that comes with misusing power and knowledge. As we reflect on knowledge, power, and faith, the story of the Watchers teaches us that the pursuit of knowledge must be accompanied by wisdom and responsibility. Knowledge without moral and spiritual guidance can lead to destruction, as it did in the days of the Watchers. Power, when sought for selfish or defiant reasons, often results in chaos and harm. Faith, however, provides a foundation for using knowledge in ways that align with God's will and purposes. The pursuit of wisdom and humility is central to avoiding the pitfalls demonstrated by the Watchers and their influence on humanity. True wisdom comes from acknowledging our limitations and relying on God's infinite understanding. Humility helps us recognize that not all knowledge is beneficial, and some boundaries are set for our protection. The story encourages us to seek wisdom that leads to life and harmony rather than power that leads to pride and destruction. In closing thoughts, we are reminded of the importance of walking in faith, trusting that God's guidance is for our ultimate good. The tale of the Watchers is not just a warning, but also an invitation to reflect on our own lives and choices. It calls us to faith, to trust in God's wisdom over our own, and to seek a relationship with Him that brings true enlightenment and peace.